Reach Kids! I'm so excited because this week I get to read you the story from the Jesus Storybook Bible. The one we're going to read is called The King of All Kings, and it's the story of the three wise men. So I'm really excited to read it to you. You ready? All right. Far away in the east, three clever men saw the very same star. The star that God had put in the sky when Jesus was born. They knew it was a sign. A baby king had been born. They had been waiting for this star. They knew it would come. "He's here," they shouted, "he's here." And I'm sure if you'd been there, you would have heard them laughing and dancing and singing until the sun came up. At dawn, they packed up their camels and wrapped gifts for the baby. They brought their most precious treasures of all. Can you guys remember the three gifts? See if you can name them. Frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Special, sparkly, lovely smelling, gleaming things just right for a king. The three wise men, actually, if you'd met them, you'd have thought they were kings because they were so rich and clever and important looking, set off. They rode their camels. Here's a camel. Across endless deserts, up steep, steep mountains, down into deep, deep valleys, through raging rivers, over grassy plains, night and day and night, for hours that turned into days, that turned into weeks, that turned into months and months, until at last they reached Jerusalem. Jerusalem was by far the most important city for miles around, and as anyone can tell you, that's where a palace would be, and kings are born in palaces. So that's where they went. But they were in for a surprise. They went to see King Herod. Surely he'd know where this baby was, but he didn't. In fact, he didn't like the sound of a new king. It made him cross. I think he was a little jealous. He didn't want anyone to be king except him. But Herod's advisors told the three wise men what was written in their books, what God had said about the baby king. Go to Bethlehem. That's where you'll find him. Suddenly, the star they had seen in the east started moving again, showing them the way. So the three wise men followed the star out of the big city along the road into the little town of Bethlehem. They followed the star into the little town, through the streets of Bethlehem, out of the nice part of town, through the not so nice part of town, into the really not so nice at all part of town, down a little dirt track until it stopped right over a little house. But wait, it wasn't a palace, and there weren't any guards or servants or flags or red carpets or trumpets or anything. Did they get it wrong? Or was that what God meant? Sure enough, in that little house, there, sitting on his mother's knee, they found him, the baby king. The three men knelt before the little king. They took off their rich royal turbans and gleaming golden crowns. They bowed their noble heads to the ground and gave him their sparkling treasures. The journey that had begun so many centuries before had led three wise men here, to a little town, to a little house, to a little child. To the king God had promised David all those years before. But this child was a new kind of king. Though he was the Prince of Heaven, he had become poor. Though he was the mighty God, he had become a helpless baby. This king hadn't come to be the boss. He had come to be a servant. Hey, Reach Kids, I'm going to wrap up our story time here by showing you the three wise men I have in my nativity at home. I don't know if you guys have wise men and your nativity, but I just wanted to wrap up with a little prayer that we can be reminded of the journey that the three wise men took. Will you pray with me? Dear Jesus, we are so grateful of the example of the three wise men, of how they faithfully followed that star that you put in the sky for them. Help us to remember the excitement that the three wise men had to meet you, their King, Jesus, and that you did so much for us while you were here on earth, and that we should be so excited that we spread the news to everybody we know. We're so grateful for your word and for your story, and we love you. Amen.